FRC and other pro-family organizations literally in the crosshairs on the issue of marriage and morality. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, you ultimately see, or you may use that phrase, being in the crosshairs, but I mean, it really has a real issue now with regards to what happened at Family Research Council in Washington, D.C., where an individual walked in there loaded with 50 rounds of ammunition, 15 Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and ultimately was intending to take out people and kill them. If it wasn't for Leo, the security guard who was unarmed, who actually was shot by this individual when he asked him where he was going, and notwithstanding being shot in the arm, still tackled this guy. Leo's a big guy, by the way.
Yeah, he sure
is.
So
it's a good thing. He took this guy down and held him until the authorities arrived, along with other people helping him. But the problem is that the Southern Poverty Law Center, I think, ultimately is engaging in irresponsible action by listing alongside the KKK and the Aryan Brotherhood Family Research Council as a hate group.
Yeah.
And I think even the liberal media are coming out now saying this is ridiculous. They're not hate groups. You may disagree with them on issues, but they're not a hate group. They're not advocating violence. They, in fact, eschew violence. They're not violent people like the KKK or Aryan groups. Stop classifying them as a hate group. What you're doing is giving fuel to these people who are unstable.
Yeah.
That gives them a right, so to speak, to go in and do what, in their minds, what this individual did to FRC.
Yeah, the Washington Post, I was shocked. The Washington Post, of all organizations, has now debunked the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate group smear of mainstream Christian organizations. And we need to understand here, what the SPLC has done here is cynical, it's dangerous, it's more than reckless, it's intentional, it's by design. They have intentionally juxtaposed, as you point out, Matt, right alongside violence-charged images of the Aryan Brotherhood and the KKK. Right along them, they have juxtaposed the Family Research Council and Tony Perkins, or American Family Association, and that creates in the mind of their supporters this guilt, false guilt by false association. It's a clever Alinskyite tactic that the left uses, and it's been even more effective than I hope they intended, in that people are actually being hurt. Some people may potentially be killed.
Yeah, you know, Saul Alinsky in his Rules for Radical, and he dedicates the book to Lucifer. Yeah. And, of course, that was a book that ultimately, and a leader, individual, that ultimately influenced President Barack Obama, and that came out during the 2008 election. But in that book, he specifically says that you ultimately isolate the target and you demonize it. And that's how you ultimately win some of your battles. And that's, in fact, what SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, has done, is they isolated the targets of people they disagree with on the issue of marriage and homosexuality and morality. And they then demonize it and then categorize it into a group that ultimately is a hate group. Yeah. It is what the After the Ball book in 1980 by Kirk and Madsen ultimately said that the agenda should do, to ultimately take people who believe in marriage and morality, demonize them, and equate them to the KKK.
So word for word, yeah.
The pastor who ultimately speaks out about human sexual behavior or marriage would be viewed in the same way as some radical, foaming at the mouth KKK hater that literally wants to take out Jews or blacks or whoever because they don't like their skin color or their religion.
And under the Saul Alinsky model that the modern left employs, if anybody gets hurt or killed, innocent people in the crosshairs, why they're just collateral damage. Well, Matt, the danger is, too, that these leftist groups, like the homosexual activist Human Rights Campaign, have used this hate group hit list that the Southern Poverty Law Center has put out there to, again, try to marginalize and place in the crosshairs Christian organizations. They even to this day, even after the shooting, the Human Rights Campaign has a post up on their website that mocks the Family Research Council for being, quote, worried about their, quote, hate group hit list status. And then the FRC goes on to say that they should be worried. I mean, it's
You're
chilling.
HRC
goes on to say that the
Human
Family
Rights
Research
Campaign.
Council, the Human Rights Campaign, goes on to say that the Family Research Council should be worried about this hate group hit list. It's chilling that they would still have that post up even after this shooting.
This hate group categorization is both for Family Research Council and Traditional Values Coalition, American Family Association. Liberty Counsel is listed as a group to watch, which is the next category before you get listed as a hate group. Focus on the Family is a group to watch, which is, again, the next category before you get listed as a hate group. That list, that shorthand list of demonizing and categorizing and put you in the same category as a KKK was used last summer. Liberty Counsel worked with an organization that provides to a lot of nonprofits, ministries included, this opportunity where you can shop on the web. So you go there and you can buy something from whatever store, and that store ships it to you, but they also give a little contribution to the website in which you are listed. And because of a petition and because this organization, this central hub, had Family Research Council and Focus on the Family as some of its many hundreds of entities, and they then said, well, they're supporting hate groups. This organization literally almost went out of business in a matter of 45 days. We were fortunate to be able to turn it around with a very aggressive pushback, but it was that SPLC listing that was ultimately the basis for it. That was for economic issues. You have the same thing, no doubt, with Dan Cathy, president of Chick-fil-A, saying that he believes in marriage as one man and one woman, the biblical definition of marriage. He's demonized. He's then told by public officials you can't have Chick-fil-A here in our community. Right now there are, for example, there's an email that just went around recently among different general counsels of universities wanting to find out where Chick-fil-A is on these university campuses and whether they intend to kick them off the university campuses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just because you believe in marriage, you have no right to work or have a business, or in this particular case, you're demonized and targeted simply because of your view on marriage. I mean, that is absolutely un-American. It is dangerous, and the SPLC needs to stop. Moreover, I think the media needs to cover this in an objective way.
That's right. Yeah. Is this George Washington's America or Joseph Stalin's Russia? You know, and this is the strategy of the coward. What they've employed here. It's intellectually lazy because they struggle on the merits to defend their position and to marginalize or refute the position of the conservative Christian. They're left desperate. So this is the only thing they have. It's a straw man.
It's one of the ways of debating that I learned in argument and debate. It's a straw man. You create a straw man, you target it, and you get off the subject matter, and you create a fictitious entity, and that's what they did. And CNN barely mentioned this at all. MSNBC barely mentioned it. Had it been the other way, where someone had gone into an LGBT organization's group and shot someone, it would be on the major news, and there would be all these calls for gun control.
From now to election
But they just
day.
simply ignored this as though this does not exist. And yet this is a serious issue and a serious debate that we need to have.
And we need to peel back another layer of the onion relative to the media's complicity in all of this. The mainstream media now is on notice. They need to understand if they dare in the future cite this hate group smear and call the Family Research Council a Southern Poverty Law Center designated hate group, and something like this again happens, whoever that individual media person is, whoever that media entity is, will also have blood on their hands, because that's what this is designed to do, is to marginalize and place a target on those who defend traditional values, the biblical notions relative to human sexuality and natural marriage.
It is time to wake up. One of the things that I said a long time ago is the intolerance of these worldview clashes is significant. And unfortunately, there's not a middle ground in these areas because they will not accept a middle ground. It's time that we wake up. The startling thing that happened to Dan Cathy is unfortunately not an isolated incident with Chick-fil-A. And also the other areas I think that we need to speak up in as pastors and churches need to speak up on issues affecting your community, especially this year. And that's why Liberty Counsel has made this Silence is Not an Option. And it is a informational packet that includes this booklet about pastors and political activity, what pastors and churches can do with respect to being for or against legislation or being for or against candidates for public office. As part of that Silence is Not an Option packet, we also have a DVD. Pastor John Hagee, after he watched this DVD information, says he felt like an inmate let out of prison. We want to change the muzzles on pastors and give them instead a megaphone. Go to lc.org for more information.